A tempest is raging in Westminster, and it's leaving millions of Britons bewildered, questioning everything they thought they understood about Labour's financial strategy. The buzz has shifted to a supposed £22 billion black hole in the budget, a figure brandished like a torch to illuminate Labour's narrative. But beneath this alarming statistic lies a tangled web of confusion, misdirection, and unanswered questions. How did this deficit emerge? Is it the catastrophic calamity that Hoban and Reeves claim it to be, or is it merely a convenient tale spun to shift blame and justify draconian policies? Let's peel back the layers of this political farce and uncover the truth lurking beneath. The scene was set when Rachel Reeves, the shadow chancellor turned chancellor, stood at the dispatch box with an air of authority. Her tone was grim, her expression somber as she proclaimed the financial state of the UK to be worse than anyone could have imagined, citing the £22 billion shortfall as the cornerstone of Labour's first significant budget. The chamber erupted in gasps and murmurs, the weight of the number reverberating through Westminster like a thunderclap. Yet, as Reeves laid out her claims, seasoned observers sensed something amiss. It felt almost too convenient. Economic experts immediately raised their eyebrows, and within hours, whispers began circulating about the true origins of this deficit figure. Treasury insiders, speaking off the record, suggested that the number was less a product of rigorous accounting and more a result of creative bookkeeping. While Reeves and her team undoubtedly inherited a challenging fiscal situation, the line between managing a deficit and inflating it for political gain is perilously thin, and Labour appeared all too willing to cross it. One glaring inconsistency emerged from the Office for Budget Responsibility. Their own projections earlier this year indicated a £9.5 billion shortfall, a troubling figure, yes, but nowhere near the catastrophic £22 billion Reeves presented. How could a gap of over £12 billion suddenly materialise? The timing was, at best, suspicious. Labour's first budget announcement needed to make a splash, and what better way to do that than to paint an apocalyptic picture of the nation's finances? In the days that followed, journalists like Sarah Thompson delved deeper. A veteran financial reporter, Sarah had witnessed her fair share of political spin, but even she was taken aback by the lengths Labour seemed willing to go. Treasury documents appeared deliberately vague, key financial assumptions relegated to footnotes, their implications glossed over in public statements. The more Sarah uncovered, the clearer it became that this wasn't just sloppy accounting. It was a calculated effort to manipulate public perception. The fallout from this narrative quickly became evident. Labour's proposed measures to address the so-called black hole included drastic hikes in national insurance for employers, a move that sent shockwaves through the business community. Small and medium enterprises, already struggling to keep their heads above water, braced for layoffs and closures. Trade unions, typically Labour's staunchest allies, began voicing concerns. Was this truly the party of the working class, or had it morphed into something unrecognisable? As Sarah continued her investigation, she received an anonymous tip from a former Treasury official who was frustrated by the lack of transparency. Provided documents directly contradicted Labour's public claims. These papers revealed that several of the deficit's underlying calculations relied on outdated or deliberately pessimistic economic assumptions. In other words, the £22 billion figure was not a reflection of reality but rather a convenient excuse for implementing harsh fiscal policies. Meanwhile, Prime Minister's questions devolved into a battleground. Opposition MPs demanded answers, but Keir Starmer remained evasive, pivoting to well-rehearsed talking points about restoring fiscal discipline and cleaning up the mess left by the Tories. His refusal to engage with specific criticisms only fueled the fire. Critics pointed out that Starmer, once a champion of transparency and accountability, now seemed more interested in controlling the narrative than addressing legitimate concerns. Public opinion began to shift. Labour voters who had once believed in Starmer's vision of a fairer, more just Britain started expressing doubts. Social media ignited with hashtags like #LabourBudgetScam, as grassroots activists demanded clarity, accusing party leadership of betraying core values. As the controversy grew, even some Labour MPs began to distance themselves from Reeves and Starmer, worried about the long-term damage to the party's credibility. The markets, always quick to react to political uncertainty, began to show signs of distress. Investor confidence dipped, and reports indicated that the private sector had contracted to its lowest level in over a year. Economists warned that the proposed tax hikes could lead to a period of prolonged stagnation, with businesses hesitant to hire or expand. Labour's defenders argued that these measures were necessary to address structural issues in the economy, but even they struggled to justify the lack of transparency surrounding the £22 billion claim. Back in Sarah Thompson's newsroom, the story took another dramatic turn. She discovered a key detail buried in an official Treasury report, a footnote contradicting one of the central assumptions used to calculate the deficit. This seemingly minor discrepancy unraveled the entire narrative, exposing the £22 billion figure as a gross exaggeration. Labour had not only misrepresented the scale of the problem but also failed to acknowledge that many proposed solutions would worsen the situation rather than improve it. In the end, Sarah Thompson's relentless pursuit of the truth served as a stark reminder of the importance of transparency and accountability. Her investigation debunked the £22 billion myth and highlighted the broader need for honesty in public discourse. Standing outside Parliament, microphone in hand, Sarah delivered a crucial warning. When politicians manipulate numbers to serve their own agendas, it's not just the truth that suffers, it's all of us. The British people deserve better, and it's time to demand it.